Brand new to guitar. I tried to teach myself in high school, but that was like a really long time ago and I didn't get it very far. So yeah, I just heard about the adult class and I was really excited to try it out.
Cool. What kind of music do you like?
You know, it's been a long time since I like really got into any new music, so I don't really know. I'm kind of rediscovering a musical taste, I guess.
Okay. Cool. Do you have any like experiences that really stick out to you? Like maybe when you were younger or a concert you went to or anything?
I haven't ever been to a concert actually.
Wow. Okay. So, why do you need to change that?
Yeah.
Okay. Silas, right?
Yeah, Silas, yeah. Let's see, so same kind of story. I tried to teach myself in high school. I've actually had a few different guitars and life just gets busy and I don't know if I'm just not disciplined enough to do it. But I played the cello and clarinet when I was younger and all those things that we were doing. And I grew up, my parents were into blues and classic rock, and so that was always playing, like my mom was. My dad, I had no idea what music. So like that's always kind of been my musical upbringing, was blues and classic rock, and of course guitar is a huge part of that. So there's always just been that draw for me to the guitar, and musical experiences. Nothing mind blowing, but
You've been to a lot of good concerts though.
Wait, and you didn't take her?
no. So I've
There
tried
was one time
since
he
we've
went
been
to a
married.
311 concert, which was like my favorite band. Like, I couldn't go, and that was like so
Oh.
Yeah,
I was out of state at the time, but
yeah. She refused to come back
That's
to the
like-
States for it.
my heart.
Not for lack of trying.
Yeah.
So.
Was that your most amazing experience?
The 311?
It was the best concert, and you missed it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Thanks, Alex.
I'm Julie, and I've played guitar a little bit off and on over the past, I don't know, five or 6 years or so, but kind of the same thing, have a hard time sticking with it, and so I'm excited about getting back into it. I like classic rock, I like blues also, I like indie pop. From a guitar standpoint though, I really like Spanish guitar, Strunzenfera, that kind of, playing that kind of music is, I mean, I could never play Strunzenfera because they're just awesome, but that's the kind of like guitar music that I like.
I did a Strunzenfera song with another guitarist at Hummingbird Music Camp,
Oh yeah.
and then we did an adaptation for nylon string guitar and bass, and so it was really fun. Their music is really
This is
really
the
fun to
adult
play.
class,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yes. Come on in. We're just doing introductions. So
Where do I sit?
How long is it, Corey? Is it an hour?
it's
45 minutes.
it's
45?
45 minutes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'll be back. Thank you. I apologize, my mom got lost.
That's okay. You're blessed to still be able to blame your mom.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, Julie.
My name's Eva. I'm also very new to guitar. This is my cousin. I just moved here like not that long ago, so just I played the saxophone growing up, so just kind of wanted to. I don't play it anymore, but I wanted to get back into music, and so this class seemed like a good idea. I like any kind of music. I'm like a big concert goer too, so I recently saw the Jonas Brothers in Vegas. That was super fun.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Bo. I do have some experience in music. I played violin for about 5 years, and then I got into guitar last year in high school. So I have some beginning experience. I really like all kinds of music, but my favorite kind is probably gothic rock. I'm gonna go see Ghost live later this year, so I'm pretty hyped up about that. It's gonna be my first concert, so.
Wow. Okay, congratulations. Where is it? Where is it at?
It's at Isleta Amphitheater.
Okay. Has anyone ever been to that venue? I haven't been. I heard it's nice.
I got pit tickets, so.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those weren't cheap.
Oh no. They were VIP tickets too, so I was like.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, I'm Richard. I've been playing guitar on and off since I was in high school, actually since middle school. I just can't seem to stick with it. decided I wanted to get back into it again a couple years ago. Then I started playing drums. I have played bass, guitar, drums, various other bizarre percussion things. Not didgeridoo, but a kitchen sink. Really, a kitchen sink.
Nice.
I've always been a big music fan. I worked at Tower Records in the early '90s, and managed to get a CD collection of about 500 or 600 CDs, which was fun to rip all to digital. A very long time.
Yeah, I bet it did.
I have seen an uncountable number of concerts, but I haven't been in a very long time. And I'm just looking for some structure to get back into playing guitar again.
Great. Thank you, Richard. Amanda?
I'm Amanda. I'm probably the one that most of y'all have talked to. I'm the office manager here at Music on the West Side. I play everything but strings, so I'm going to start.
Yay!
Hi, I'm Nicole. I've been playing guitar off and on since I was in high school. I'm excited to get back in. And I like to listen to pop punk music, so.
Okay. Amanda, what favorite musical experience? Do you have one?
No.
Okay.
I love all music. I do all music.
Okay.
Probably musical theater when I was doing community theater.
Oh, cool. That sounds fun.
If you can sing, yeah.
Yes. or if you don't know, you can't sing.
Well, I'm sure it's not for
Ignorance
those
is
people
bliss.
too.
Yeah. Favorite musical experience?
I recently went to a concert at Meow Wolf in Santa Fe, so
Oh,
that was
yeah.
fun.
Cool.
Cool, yeah. Has anyone seen a concert there?
I am not.
I know like my friend has played there.
Yeah, I know some people have played there. They say it's really neat. I've never been to Meow Wolf, actually. So.
It's really weird.
I was so disappointed with it.
I loved it, but it's really weird.
Yeah. I don't mind weird, but weird for the sake of weird, I do mind.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like that, but it's also entertaining weird.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah, there's
That's good.
parts that are entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And last but not least.
Of course not least, yes, that's right. I'm Vicky, and I don't have much experience in music throughout my life. I tried picking up guitar a few times, put it back down. Then a couple of years ago, I decided I was going to have music in my life, and so I started taking voice lessons and some guitar lessons. But then it was too much for me, and so I picked up a ukulele instead. And I'm really loving that. Probably my favorite experience would have to be the latest musical experiences I've had. I went to a James Taylor concert over at the Event Center.
Wow.
That was a pretty good show, yeah. I like him. And personally, my favorite musical experience was the day I was able to actually strum through a song and sing and keep time, do the whole thing. Oh, it feels so good.
Thank you guys. It's great to meet you. A little bit about me. My name's Corey. I've taught at some colleges here, Santa Fe Community College and C&M. Done music in churches, and I grew up in Rio Rancho. Went off to Texas to get my undergrad and got my master's in guitar performance at UNM. Graduated in 2016, and my wife. We have 2 kids. My wife just gave birth. It was a 20-minute affair, so my Subaru only goes 115. We got there just in time.
I almost had my first in our Subaru, so.
Yeah, Meredith was like, I'm not gonna name this kid Forrester. And we got there, and of course, I parked in the ambulance spot, which is like the greatest sin of all time. Like, where are the ambulances? I know, but my kid's head's poking out, so could you please just come get her and I'll move it, you know? So all of that, we live in Rio Rancho, so I wanted to be a little closer to home and change the job that I was doing, and so I've loved teaching here music on the west side, and it's just been something right up my alley. And the adult guitar class is really fun for me. I've taught a lot of adults through, especially at the community college. I have a lot of professors would want to take my class because they get free classes, and then a lot of retired students, and then a lot of college and high school students. So I've taught a lot of range of experiences. My favorite are beginners, because the high school, the 17-year-old has been playing for 5 years, and they're the kid in their school that can play Steve Vai and no one else can. Doesn't like to listen. So that's always fun. So the spiel I would always give would be, and it's not going to be a problem in here because we're actually real adults, in this class, was I don't mind people showing what they can do if it's out of a good spirit, out of fun, but I will step on the throat of anybody who wants to engage in a pissing competition. I'm not gonna deal with it. It's so discouraging to people who want to start out. It's not, it's like if Mike Tyson punched a 5-year-old and said, look how strong I am. Come on. So this is a place for fun. This is a place to learn. There's gonna be different skill levels. There's different levels of just talent as well. And that's okay. It's okay. The goal here is to be as good as you can be and to enjoy it, and for guitar to be something in your life that is fulfilling and something that you can use as an outlet, a creative outlet. I've done a lot of teaching students songwriting. Guitar is like the ultimate instrument for the singer-songwriter. So if any of you, I know it's incredibly nerve-wracking to maybe go down that path, but I like to throw that out there. We'll work as a class, but as we go on, we'll probably have some time to sort of do more individual stuff as you guys are learning. As we get further along, you guys are going to, I hope, start doing more of your own thing a little bit as well. And so as you guys do that, if you wanted to do something like songwriting or something like that, then I would be happy to do that. My favorite was in Santa Fe. There was a guy who was 85, and he was learning guitar. He was taking a swim class, and he wrote his first song, and it was a love song. so it was like, and he sang and everything. And so, it's never too late to try and learn and to do something that's fun. So, a couple of things that I want to just go over first, because a lot of times it's just glossed over, but it's super important. This instrument is, I was talking a little bit before with the students who were early, is not, it's the most accessible instrument, but it's also not the most accessible instrument. The piano, you can sit down and you can teach a 5-year-old to play Mary Had a Little Lamb their first day. Not so much on the guitar, but it's still very accessible. But what we need to do is learn to even just hold the instrument right. A lot of people get frustrated unnecessarily because they're holding the guitar in a way that is not ergonomic. It's not helpful. It doesn't facilitate ease of playing. So I just want to start off by showing you things not to do. We don't want our neck pointing into the ground. So like stuff like this is not good. We don't want our sound hole pointing up like this. Now this is probably issue numero uno that I see. And the reason why students do it makes sense, is because they want to see the fretboard, right? They want to see the fretboard. When they're starting out, it's okay to do this as like, okay, I'm going to play a D chord. Okay, I see it, and then go back. But really what we need to do is learn to feel and sense our neck, and we can help see our guitar neck by pushing it out a little bit out from our body. But the guitar should not be oriented like this. So if you can imagine, and this is a cannon, and it's going to shoot a cannonball, it should not the wall in front of you, right in the middle. It can kind of be up at a little bit of an angle, but it shouldn't be hitting the roof, and you should not be shooting yourself in the leg either, okay? So something more like this. So yeah, everything looks good. Nice. So there's a couple different ways to hold the guitar. Most of you are doing kind of the steel string way, where you're sitting on your right leg. No one in here is incredibly short, which is good. Like when I have 5-year-olds, their feet don't touch the ground, and so the guitar goes like that. So we want to make sure that we're sitting in a chair where our legs can be straight out. This instrument doesn't want to stay in your lap. You have to help it, right? Kind of like a violin doesn't want to, you have to do things to keep it under your chin. So, flat legs. What we have here, what Julie is demonstrating, that's also a perfectly legitimate way to play. This is more of a classical way to play. This is the way when I'm doing concerts or something like that, this is how I will hold my classical guitar to play. This way facilitates, this is the most ease of playing if you're really needing to get up and down the neck. It puts the guitar at the most optimal angle because the neck is closer to your body, and the body, it just centers the guitar on you a little better than this. But this is perfectly legitimate too. And if you have like a dreadnought body like that, it's going to be hard to put that in between your legs because they're huge. So this is perfectly legitimate. I play like this a lot when I'm playing steel string or fingerstyle guitar like this. Okay. So those are the basics for holding this instrument. Now, actually playing it. The right hand is, for strumming, pretty straightforward. Finger picking, a little more involved. But the left hand is really where students get hung up. Is there anybody who's playing a left-handed guitar? Because otherwise I would be talking backwards. No, okay. So everybody's left hand is going to be actually hitting the fretboard, the fingerboard right here, okay? So a couple of things to keep in mind before we actually, and then I'm going to give you guys some things to do and actually start playing. We want to play on the tips of our fingers as much as possible, but not always, because there are going to be things where we don't play on the tips of our fingers. But if we're playing normally, we should be very much on our tips, okay? Now there's going to be context where we're not going to, obviously, like if I'm doing something like this. It's a combination, right? This is not on my tips because I'm having to go up, but these two are. So when we're playing chords, it's important to be on our tips, because if we're not, when we play C chord, see all of them on the tips? You can hear every note. But if I go like this, right? This lays across this string underneath it, okay? So I want to show you guys more or less what you should have. Everybody's anatomy is different. Some people's fingers bend differently. Some people have very long fingers. Some people are double jointed. So, but this should be generally what it would look like. So I'm going to press into the string, and then you can see where the indentations are on my finger. Right? They're pretty much on top. So a good thing to do if you're playing and you're like, man, I'm getting a lot of, my strings are getting muted. Yeah, they're still there. See where these marks are. If they're down here on the pads, then that means you need to be more on your tips, okay? So that is numero uno rule. Tips, 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 and keep reminding yourself. I'll be reminding you of it often. I'll probably also be reminding you of your playing position and stuff like that. That's fine, it's normal. Don't feel bad. Everybody has to start somewhere, right? The greatest guitarist in the world was at some time a beginner, right? And so he had to have teachers, or she had to have teachers that taught him or her how to play this stupid instrument, right? So, and also another thing I want to say, frustration is part of the game, okay? So, I have a lot of times the most talented students I've had were the worst students because they would play other instruments and it came so easily to them, but guitar kind of fights you a little bit. It says, no, I'm not that easy. like you have to work for me. And, but once you do, it's incredibly rewarding. So, I want to demonstrate just a few things to hopefully show you some of the things that you can even do starting out. So if we're, a basic chord that I'm going to teach us is just an E minor chord. Who knows how to play an E minor chord? Would you guys mind? Anybody who knows how to do it? Good, yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, and then we have tuning.
Yeah. I was like, oh dang, that doesn't sound good.
I didn't tune mine.
Okay, so we'll get, we will, next week, the first thing we'll do, as you guys are coming in, is give your guitars to me, and I'll tune them, and then we'll work on, teaching you guys how to tune them. Right now, I kind of got a lot of introductory stuff to get through, so I don't want to waste time tuning everybody's guitars, but that can, depending on the guitar. Sometimes I have guitars that are strung backwards, and it's like, okay, so I have to restring it. So we'll deal with that next week. But yes, that is an E minor chord, like that, okay? So what I'd like everybody to do is you're gonna use your first two fingers. Now the left hand, we talk about numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty straightforward, okay? And we're gonna start with using our two strongest fingers, or I call them our smartest fingers. I would say, if these fingers are an analogy of education, these two have doctor's degrees, and these are like backwoods Appalachian hillbillies. They have nothing going for them, right? They are really weak. You have to force them. You got to educate them, okay? You have to make yourself use these other two fingers. So we'll start with these, but very quickly I'm going to want you guys to start doing this, because if I don't, you won't, right? So if we do a scale, students will do this. It's like one finger instead of, right? So much easier if you can, but just like a kid, like if with my son, when he was crawling, I'd be like, why don't you just walk? Like, crawling's so much less efficient. Well, well, there's a process, right? And so we've got to teach these guys to crawl and then walk. And once they do, it's you can play the instrument, right? I can only be so smooth and connected and play so fast using one finger, right? But using all these fingers, it's much easier to play. So everybody, we're gonna use our first and second finger. These little spaces right here, they're called frets. Very good. So we're gonna be on the second fret. All right. And there are 6 strings on this instrument. And we start down here. This thinnest string on the bottom of your guitar is your first string. You can just count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this thickest string on top, this is your lowest string in sound. It's called your low E string. This is your high E string. So high E is your first string, low E is your 6th string. We will do the names of the strings, the letter names of the string, note names, as well. E, A, D, G, B, E. I like to use an acronym or a clever little acrostic. I don't know what it is. My wife's an English major, not me, so she knows that stuff.
Mnemonic device.
Mnemonic device, thank you. Wow. I know, right? So, Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie.
Our kids taught us that.
Okay, so
Good. Yeah, right.
I learned that in my guitar class.
Great. So that's how I teach people to remember, and it's usually pretty effective. E, A, D, G, Goodbye, split up, okay? Goodbye, Eddie. All right? So, we're going to be strumming, and everyone just use their thumb. You're just gonna strum down like that on all your strings. And you're gonna use these two fingers, and they're gonna be on your A string and your D string, or your 5th and 4th string. So, around, y'all. 1 fret this way, 2nd fret. Close. This one there, and that one. Right.
Still have one go.
Just like a little more. Perfect. Perfect.
Really?
Good.
No, I didn't.
Nick, he's got
I could never do that.
same song.
Yep. Sure that guy's in there too. Nice. Good. Oh yeah, one more thing. This is mostly for the ladies. And sorry,
I know.
So our nails didn't.
the nails will make it impossible.
Next week they will be short.
Okay.
I'm
Now,
not-
so I have nails too, and I care for my nails. There was a time, it's not so much in the modern world, but when I was back in the early 2000s, me and most of my peers were guys, and we would you would always find us going like this, filing our nails together. It was a group of men doing their nails like
Hey,
this.
Jim.
Yeah, right. And this is to say, my grandpa struggled to understand what that was about. Why do you have nails? Because, and I was artsy too, so it made it even worse. Okay, so this is our shape, and we're just strumming down. So this is probably the easiest chord to play on the guitar that involves all 6 strings.
What chord is that?
It's an E minor chord. E minor chord, okay? Good. So, with this chord, we can start to play around with actually some fun stuff on the guitar. Right back here, this is your bridge and your saddle. And then up here, on the other side of the sound hole, this is your fretboard. If you play closer to the fretboard, you're going to get a warm sound. If you play closer to the saddle, you're going to get a very metallic sound. Right? So we call this Metallica. Not Metallica, but Metallico. See, in music, that's what they want you to do. And it's really, so if you're ever in a band setting or something like this, you might want to play back here because it cuts through. If you're playing up here, it might get a little too muddy. So we have a lot of control over this instrument just by what we're doing with our right hand, okay? Okay, so that is our very first chord. Great job, you've already learned 1 chord. Now let's see if we can apply tips and holding our guitar to looking at some actual music and looking at what's called a chord chart. So in your binders in front of you, you should have something that looks like this right here. Does everybody have something like that? Okay. This shows you 3 chords in 2 different ways to play them. Now, do not think of chords as gospel truth. It is very, very flexible, okay? Fingerings that I give you are fingerings I'm giving you to start out with. But depending on the context, you need to have the flexibility to change it. And sometimes we get ourselves into mental ruts and say, that's not the way you play a G chord. It's like, yeah, but if I'm going C to G, and I do a G this way, even if you don't know this, it's fine. You can just look at my hand. Here's the C, going to G. Or I could do this. Right? My hand's moving way less, way less. If you ever look at really bad guitars, it looks like they're trying hard. If you ever look at very good guitars, it looks like they're not trying very hard, because good guitarists have figured out how to make the instrument easier, right? Every possible way they can. That's what they do. So with these chords, what we're gonna learn is one way to play them. And it's a good way to play them, but that doesn't mean that you play it this way every single time. Really what you're gonna wanna start paying attention to is what we call patterns. So for instance, this is just two fingers stacked on top of each other. But there may be a context where you need to use these to, if for instance you're gonna need to use, if you need to use your first finger for something like that, okay? So what you're looking at is the shape, okay? Not necessarily what fingers you're using, but the shape of your fingers on the guitar. So this is like a stacked shape. A D looks like this. It's kind of like a slightly cocked V shape, right? And in E major, looks like that, okay? But I can use different fingers to play these chords, right? So just keep that in mind. Give yourself some flexibility, because as you learn more music, I guarantee you the fingerings that you're learning now, you're gonna wanna change them for something else, okay? All right, so this is a chord chart. And this is every beginner's best friend, is to learn how to read a chord chart, okay? It's actually really easy. So, you will, I'm gonna draw on the chalkboard. I'm really gonna feel like a professor again. What you have is a line. This represents the nut of your guitar. That's the white thing at the top that your strings are strung across before it goes to the neck. And then you have these going down. These are your strings. This right here is your sixth string. So that's the string that's closest to your face. That's the one on top. The best way to think of it is a chord chart is as if you're holding the guitar out in front of you like this. Okay? If you forget what strings are what, just hold the guitar out in front of you, and that's the right orientation. All right? So you have sixth string, fifth string, fourth string, third, second, and your first string. Okay? And then you have your frets going across. And most chord charts that you guys will see will just have 3 frets. I believe that's what you have on yours. Yeah. Okay? Now, you'll notice sometimes they have an X. So for instance, if you guys look at the A, the top A, it has a bunch of X's on it. An X means you don't play that string. Okay, that's all it means. If you see a 0, for instance, you'll see that both versions of the A major chord, oh, by the way, I don't know why they did this. It's a little confusing. I'm going to steal your sheet if that's okay. Right here it says A, D, G, and then it says A major, D major, G major. A and A major, they're the exact same chord. If you just see a letter with nothing next to it, that means major. If you see an M next to it, that means minor. Who knows the difference between a major and a minor chord, by the way?
In what way? How it's written?
The sound. Like, what's the sound?
They sound different.
They do sound different.
Yeah.
How would you describe the difference? Anybody know?
Happy.
Happy
Sad.
versus
Mine's
sad.
A little bit like sadder or more like mysterious sounding.
Yes. Very good. Yeah, a minor chord tends to sound sad or more mysterious. A major chord sounds happy or more uplifting. So, if you see a 0, that means you play the string open, which means no fingers down. So everybody just strum. If you were just to see this, and then everything else was X'd out, just that, what would you do on your guitar? Right, you would just play that A string or that 5th string. Good. Okay, So we're gonna try the rock star version. So you can tell your kids you guys are rock stars. You don't strum your top string, your low E string, that one closest to your face. You start here and then strum the rest of them, okay? And then you have fingers down on the second fret of each of these strings, the fourth string, the third string, and the second string, otherwise known as the D, G, and B string, okay? And then you play this last one open. Yours has an X, that's okay, but if you can play it open, play it open. That's an E, that's part of the chord of A. So if you don't, if you have a finger that's muting it for some reason, that's okay, no harm, no foul. But if this string rings through, that's okay. So what I'd like to do is I want you guys to try to finger it in this way. First finger, second finger, and third finger. So they're all stacked on top of each other. Exactly, just like that. Very, very good. Now you did something. That's also a way to do it. Yes. Good. Good. Nice. Looks great. And it would look great.
It would look great. Yeah, I can do it in mine.
Okay. So this is an E. This is an A major chord. Now D major. I'm going to give you even more of a rock star version because if you guys can play A, you can play a full D chord. Okay. So a D chord. It's warm in here, by the way. You're going to do. You're not going to strum these two strings. You're going to strum this fourth string or your D string, and then you're going to put a finger here, here, and here. And you do a first finger there, second finger there, and third finger right there. Okay? So you have two fingers on the second fret, and they have a string apart, and then a third finger on the third fret. Good. Sounded like a D chord? Yes, yes. Nice. Good. Close. So that one's right. Bring this one same fret, but on the E string. There we go. And then this one.
Close enough. As good as I'm gonna get right now.
Nice. Great. Okay, so good job. Does that seem crazy hard to any of you? No? Good. Now what's hard is then putting them together. That's what's hard. Changing between chords is what always gets people, okay? So right off the bat on this song, you have an A going to a D chord and then back to an A. So what I want to leave you guys with, now that you know how to read a chord chart, is in the last 5 minutes, is give you guys a way to practice transitioning your chords. Because what people do is they're just like, okay, it takes 7 hours to get the A chord and look at it, and then they go like that, and then they take another 7 hours. To do that. And this is a practice tool that you guys should use no matter what you're doing. Break it down. Break it down. You don't have to go to the entire chord when you're shifting, okay? So, and this is true of advanced music as well as simple music. I do the same thing when I'm playing high-level classical music. I have to break things down into very small chunks when they're technically difficult. Just because you're beginners doesn't mean you shouldn't engage in the same practice. It will make you better faster if you do it this way. It seems slower, but it makes you better faster, okay? So A, let's say we're going A to D. Now maybe what we need to do is, all right, I got my A chord. I have 3 fingers, but I really am struggling to focus on those 3. So I might just go A, and then just work on putting my first finger down. I don't even use my right hand, just A to there, A to there. Get really comfortable just doing that little motion. And what you'll notice is, well, that's not very hard. All I'm doing is taking my first finger and bringing it down 1 string. It stays on the same fret. And then maybe you add your second finger. Here, there, here, and then those 2. Okay? So what you've seen is, well, all I'm doing is just really moving my first 2 fingers a little bit down. That's the motion I'm doing. So it's really not that hard to do that. And then once you get that, it's like, okay, then you can put those down and then add the third finger. Another thing is, we don't have to put all the fingers down at the same time. We can go like this, and then that. Until we get comfortable enough, then we can do it. But for right now, we can go those 2, because they're our strongest fingers, and then put that one down. Does that make sense, guys?
Mm-hmm.
So, when you guys are looking at these chords, you can, if you're familiar with the song, you can kind of play along and try to do it in the rhythm and strumming. We'll work on rhythm and strumming next week. But really what would be useful is for you guys just to get good as you can, transitioning between these chords, and break it down. Break it down like this, and it will be much easier. I would say if you do this for 15 to 20 minutes a day, you'll be able to transition to these chords probably in time by next week without much problem. Okay? Any questions about anything? New? Okay. Well, that is technically 2 minutes. I guess I'll show you guys kind of a context that I would use the same principle in. If I'm doing something like, all right, so I want to make sure my notes are clear. Okay, so I'm starting to get more comfortable, starting to clean up. So that was a little bit of a mute there. So I would want to practice just doing that shift from down here up to there, up to there. So no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm doing individual notes, I'm going to repeat that sometimes for 30 minutes straight, depending, literally, I have worked on, when I've played a Bach fugue, I've worked on half a measure for 3 hours, right? So this is just basic stuff, but it's something that we just don't do when we sit down, our minds take flight, and they start thinking about pizza or whatever. So breaking it down to the simplest ways is, man, I can't say enough how useful that is. And it's a tool that if you learn now, if you're playing Sweet Home Alabama, or Crazy Train, or Steve Vai, no matter how difficult the level gets, you will use this same thought process, right? Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. It was really nice meeting you guys, and I look forward to seeing what kind of progress you make on these. So just learn those 3 chords. Try to get really quick and moving between them, and then we'll hit the ground running and try to actually play along with the song together. Okay. Does anybody have tuners that they can bring? Okay. If you have a tuner, I would recommend bringing that.
get stickers?
Oh, yeah. Like a handshake.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
They have enough stickers.
No, Jill never takes any pictures. I don't know, I guess. Jill.
And you were Nicole, right? Okay. Great. Oh, does
Everybody sit
anybody
in
not,
different seats
does
next to
anybody
him.
not have a guitar at home? Everybody has a guitar at home?
This is my own.
Can
Okay.
you get here during the days, like after 1 before 7? You can come and practice on our guitars.
Okay, cool.
Just shoot me a message and let me know when you're coming.
Okay.
And if you're interested in getting a guitar, there are some really nice student models that are great and really reasonable. You can get them anywhere from the $100, $150 range up to the $300 range, and that'll get you a decent student model guitar. So if you'd be interested in that, you can talk to me, and I can point you in the right direction, or to Amanda. She orders guitars all the time.
Would that be like something you'd order, or like send someone to like a store looking for a specific model? Or?
Well, it depends. We do order guitars here, right? For you guys
So
to
the
pay
ones that we usually order are little kits, and they're like that $150 to $200 range. And we get them from our supplier. We just find that they have better sound at that price. But yeah, you can definitely spend more if you want like a Mitchell or something.
Or Taylor.
Great Taylor.
Yeah.
Spend a lot.
You can spend a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Thanks, guys. It was great meeting you.
You got the. Thank you, Corey.
You think you'll try to maybe bring that parlor guitar next week?
I probably will.